Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unnext News Radio podcast, your news source for all things unexplained. And now, here's your host for the Unnext News podcast, Margie K.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unnext News on the Unnext News Network, Unnext Network, www.unnextnetwork.com. I'm your host, Margie K., and tonight we're going to be talking about the dreaded Friday the 13th and other superstitions. And I want to hear from you, so be sure to join in the chat. Write something in the comments. Let me know what you're superstitious about. I want to hear about that and why you are, because we're going to be talking about a lot of things this evening that have to do with superstitions, but obviously on Friday the 13th, it's going to be Friday the 13th to start off with. Now, this is a show that I have been wanting to do for years. And as luck would have it, I had scheduled 3 different times with 3 different writers who wrote about superstitions, and something happened each time where they could not be on the show. So I said, you know what? This Friday the 13th, I'm just going to do it myself. And so I knew a little bit about it. And when I was growing up, my grandmother was a little bit superstitious, and this was kind of odd to me because she was a very, very intelligent woman and very practical woman. But when it came to a few superstitions that I'm going to talk about later, she was serious about it. So this stuff is kind of ingrained in us from childhood. All right, I'm going to attempt to pronounce this word, and I'm sorry if I mess it up. Paraskevidekatriophobia is the fear of the number 13. Yeah, try saying that 3 times in a row. Do you have it? A lot of people do, and with good reason. So when did Friday the 13th become a day of bad luck? We need to go way back in time to see when it all started. According to Charles Panatti in his book, Extraordinary Origins of Everyday Things, the concept can be traced back to Norse mythology, when Loki, the god of mischief, crashed a banquet in Valhalla, bringing the number of gods in attendance to 13. Deceived by Loki, the blind god Hodar was tricked into shooting his brother Balder, the god of light, joy, and goodness, with a mistletoe-tipped arrow, killing him instantly. The superstition then spread across Europe. Did you know that mistletoe is poisonous? Yeah, apparently it is. So don't eat it. So next, we can look to the Bible, when Friday is said to be the day that Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. Friday is also the day that Cain murdered his brother Abel, and the day that the Temple of Solomon was destroyed. So it seems that Friday has a bad name all by itself. And then there was the Last Supper, which was attended by Jesus and his 12 disciples, numbering 13 people. The 13th guest to arrive was, you guessed it, Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus, leading to his crucifixion. So you can see why that's enough right there to be something unlucky about Friday the 13th. But we come to the big one here, which I think most people are probably familiar with. The Knights Templar were founded in 1119 and headquartered on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. They were favored by the Roman Catholic Church and were a very skilled fighting unit during the Crusades. They managed a large financial network, and by the way, primarily that was what they did. 90% of their members did that and were not fighting. And they actually formed an early banking system. They amassed great wealth, which they didn't use personally. They kept it in the order. and even loaned money to kings. King Philip IV of France was deeply indebted to the order and found a way not to pay them back. Pope Clement V worked with the king to discredit the order. At dawn on Friday, October 13th, 1307, in the Kingdom of France, government agents swooped in on property belonging to the world-famous Knights Templar, arrested their members on false charges, and began a process of interrogation, public examination, and reputational demolition that ended 4.5 years later with the order being dissolved by Pope Clement and their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, burned at the stake. Jacques got justice, however, when he placed a curse on both the king and the pope as they burned him alive. He said both would be dead within a year, and they were. The Templars were a medieval military order set up during the Crusading period, named for their initial headquarters on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. They recruited Western Christian warriors who took an oath to live quasi-monastic lives devoted to the principles of chastity, poverty, and obedience, and wore iconic uniforms of black or white robes emblazoned with a red cross. They amassed a great fortune, which was squandered away before the King of France could get it. The story goes that it went to Scotland, then across the ocean to the Americas, likely Nova Scotia, which means New Scotland, and maybe even Oak Island. So there's a story there. And why I have an interest in it? Well, that goes back to one of my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers. And that would be Henry Sinclair, the Grand Master of the Templars in Scotland. I am his direct descendant. So I think there's something in the DNA, something that keeps people interested in history about things like this. And who knows, sometimes when you do your ancestry, you find a connection somewhere. And here was my connection. And if we have time this evening, I'm going to give you a little more information about that. But let us move on. In 1907, Thomas W. Lawson's popular novel, Friday the 13th, further perpetuated the unlucky day with its tale of an unscrupulous broker who crashed the stock market by using the superstitions about the day. And who can forget the successful Friday the 13th movies with the slasher Jason Voorhees? In all, 12 movies were made. It seems they're due to make one more, I would think. I'm sure that's going to be coming, so watch for it. And how about Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, which claims that superstition originated with the arrests of the Knights Templar in 1307? So we're perpetuating it. But some people consider the number 13 very lucky. This can be traced back to Norse times again, and the goddess Frigg, who was associated with love, marriage, and motherhood. Frigg is where we get our weekday name of Friday. Her sister goddess Freya had the power to perform magic, predict the future, and was said to ride a chariot pulled by two black cats. Because of these two goddesses, Friday was considered a lucky day to get married, and in some cultures it still is. And did you know that Taylor Swift considers 13 her lucky number? Early in her career, she often performed with the number 13 written on her hand. She says, "I was born on the 13th. I turned 13 on Friday the 13th. My first album went gold in 13 weeks. My first #1 song had a 13-second intro." She told that to MTV in 2009. "Every time I've won an award, I've been seated in either the 13th seat, the 13th row, the 13th section, or row M, which is the 13th letter. Basically, whenever a 13 comes up in my life, it's a good thing." So I also want to hear from you about how you might think that the number 13 is lucky for you. All right. Other unlucky things. So let's talk about a few other things that are considered to be very unlucky on this day, Friday the 13th. First of all, walking under a ladder. Do you know about the origin of that? Well, I didn't, so I had to look it up. Now, of course, I've known it. I've grown up with it my entire life, and in fact, have avoided walking underneath ladders. Although, when you think about it practically, it's probably much more dangerous to get up on a ladder than it is to walk underneath one. But here's the origin. It originates in ancient Egypt. A ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle, and Egyptians regarded this shape as sacred. So to pass through a triangle was to desecrate it. This persisted to today. In the 1600s, criminals were forced to walk under a ladder on their way to the gallows. So I guess that would just be humiliation for them and further bad luck. Although if they're on their way to the gallows, that's already pretty bad luck. All right, what else? A black cat crossing your path. A lot of people will still avoid black cats. Black cats were considered very lucky beginning with the ancient Egyptians. If one crossed your path, good luck was sure to come your way. But all that changed during the Middle Ages when black cats became associated with witches as their familiars. The Pilgrims brought that belief with them to America. And in the early 17th century in England, King Charles I had a favorite black cat as a pet. After the cat died, the king said his luck was gone. And indeed it was, because the very next day, the king was arrested and charged with high treason. So I guess that was a very unlucky day for him. All right. What else is unlucky? Well, turns out failing to respond to a chain letter is bad luck. I don't know if you've ever gotten a chain letter. I used to get them when I was younger, back in the dark ages. I don't know that chain letters are still around. I mean, I think maybe 20 years ago, I might have gotten one by email, but I haven't seen one lately. If you have, let me know about it. All right. Cutting a spaghetti noodle. Here's something else my Italian grandmother told me. We were not allowed to cut spaghetti noodles when we ate a dinner with her. We could only have a big spoon and then take the fork and then twirl the spaghetti so that you didn't cut it. But what I didn't understand is, they make these noodles in really, really, really long, several feet long, and then they cut them to fit them in boxes to sell to you. So I fail to understand why cutting them later would be bad luck. But it's a very serious thing with Italians, so don't mess with it. Okay. Now we come to, let me check these comments here. All right. Let's just check this out. James Bear says, my family had problems with cards and card games. Well, I need to know a little bit more about that. Okay. James says, my family in the 1880s had members killed on card games such as Bid Warp in Topeka, Kansas. What? Wow. That's bizarre. Okay, I need to know more about what the heck you're talking about there. Okay, Fuzzy says Friday the 13th is my lucky day. All right, it's lucky for Fuzzy. And then James says, do you believe in ancestral DNA memories? Yes, James, seriously, if we have time today, I'm going to go into that a little bit more, and you're going to see what I mean. I think I'm even going to write a book about it. So, okay. Next up, for bad luck, sneezing. Many people say bless you or God bless you when someone sneezes. Why do they do that? According to my Italian grandmother, it's because the soul leaves the body when you sneeze and it won't come back unless someone says bless you. Well, I wonder what happens when you're alone and you sneeze. It doesn't seem like anything happens. But anyway. That's how it goes. Okay, spilling salt has been considered unlucky for thousands of years. The ancient Sumerians began to nullify the bad luck of spilling salt to throwing a pinch of salt over their left shoulder. So they're spilling salt again, but it's being thrown over the left shoulder. The superstition still persists today throughout many countries. Well, actually, back in ancient times, salt was very, very expensive and considered to be a luxury. So I can see why it would be bad luck at that time. Next up, the upside down horseshoe. How many of you have put a horseshoe up with the open end down? Oh, that is not the way to do it at all. Because it allows the luck to run out, the good luck to run out. This can be traced back to the Greeks, who thought that the element iron had the ability to ward off evil. This belief passed from the Greeks to the Romans and then to Christians. In the Middle Ages, people hung horseshoes open and up to their doors and houses to scare off witches who were supposedly afraid of horses or anything that reminded them of horses. And today, many people place a horseshoe with the open end up over the doors and entrances to their houses to make sure that they always have good luck. Okay, this one, I bet you even believe this. Breaking a mirror brings you 7 years bad luck. Well, that origin came from ancient Greece. It was common for people to consult mirror seers who told their fortunes by analyzing their reflections. As the historian Milton Goldsmith explained in his book Signs, Omens, and Superstitions, written in 1918, divination was performed by means of water and a looking glass. This was called catophratomancy, or something like that. The mirror was dipped into the water, and a sick person was asked to look into the glass. If his image appeared distorted, he was likely to die. If clear, he would live. In the 1st century AD, the Romans added a caveat to the superstition. At that time, it was believed that people's health changed in 7-year cycles. A distorted image resulting from a broken mirror therefore meant 7 years of ill health and misfortune rather than outright death. But how many of you are actually freaked out when you break a mirror? Go figure. Okay. Opening an umbrella while indoors. Why is that bad luck? It started in the 1900s when everyone had an umbrella, which, if opened indoors, could knock something over or poke someone in the eye. So they started saying it was bad luck, so people wouldn't do that anymore. And still today, most people will not open an umbrella inside. Well, that's probably a good idea anyway. Ravens, crows, and magpies are all considered to be bad luck. Remember Edgar Allan Poe? Quoth the raven nevermore. That was scary. His stuff is scary. If you ever really want to be scared, read Edgar Allan Poe. All right. Don't ever say the word Macbeth or wish someone good luck while you're inside a theater, especially to a theater troupe who is just getting ready to go on stage. So to counteract that, what do? They say, break a leg, which means really doesn't mean break a leg. It means good luck. Okay, shoes on a table are bad luck. Yeah, it'd be bad luck in my house if somebody did that. 3 on a match. Have you ever heard that one? Well, that started in World War II. If 3 soldiers lit their cigarettes from the same match, it meant that one of them would die. Ooh, that's terrible. Probably not true, but viewing one's doppelganger might be considered a harbinger of bad luck. I don't know if you've ever seen your doppelganger. And what that is someone else who looks exactly like you, but is not you and not related to you. I actually had that happen myself. And it's a short story, so I'll tell you. I was in college my freshman year at CMSU. And after a band rehearsal one evening, headed to my dorm. My boyfriend was walking me to the dorm. And we saw a girl who looked exactly like me from the back with the same type of bell-bottom jeans on. So you know what decade that was. and a white coat with a black and gray fake fur collar on it. And I was wearing the exact same thing. So I said, hurry up to my boyfriend. And we hurried up and we got next to this person. She was carrying books, looked over. She looked at us. I looked at her. She looked exactly like me. And I'm saying twin. She looked like my twin. And I am standing there in disbelief. She turned around and walked off. So the next day, I get to class, and my classmates are mad and ignoring me. And I said, "What's going on?" "Well, thanks for talking to us last night." I said, "What are you talking about?" "I was at band rehearsal." "No, you weren't. You were at the bar, and you were sitting in front of us, and we said hi to you and tried to talk to you, and you ignored us." I said, "That wasn't me. That was not me. That was someone else who looks exactly like me that's on this same campus." She was my doppelganger. None of my friends believed me. They thought I was lying. Yeah, that was freaky. Okay, killing a ladybug is bad luck. Well, we all know that. I don't know why. I never did find that. But okay, and this is the doozy of all doozies of bad luck. The number 666. Fear of the number 666 is known as a word I cannot pronounce. It starts with hex, okay, for 6. Per biblical prophecy, the number of the beast, an evil takeover of humanity worldwide, also called the mark of the beast, wherein all humans will have it on their forehead or hand. Well, we could talk about that for about an hour because of all the high-tech stuff going on, implants, all sorts of things that are happening. And there actually is an effort right now to get people to get implants so that there's no more cash money, that we do all our transactions in that manner. You just go to the store and they read your implant and, you've got your food. How convenient is that? That's convenient, but I don't know. There may be something else behind that. If you are a little superstitious about anything that we've talked about, here are some tips to get rid of the bad luck. Burn incense to get rid of negative energy. We all know that. Incense has been used for thousands of years to clear the air, so to speak. And I think it works. I really do. Throw salt over your left shoulder and sprinkle sea salt around the perimeter of your house. Now, sea salt is supposed to ward off negative energy, and a lot of people actually do this, and they will sprinkle salt outside their home, and not just to protect you from witches, but just negative energy. Now, you could also find a 4-leaf clover. So if you have bad luck, you go out and find a 4-leaf clover, and that gives you good luck. But good luck with that in February, unless you live in a warm climate. Or you could place a horseshoe open end up so the luck doesn't run out to counteract your bad luck. Burn a sage smudge stick and smudge the house with it. This is a good tip no matter what. Open a window, smudge each room in the house. Just, light the sage, dried sage stick, go through the house, and that eliminates negative energy. Keep black tourmaline, black onyx, or obsidian near you or in your house. These stones protect you from negative energies year-round. You can also burn a candle and leave the night lights on in every room because dark energies do not like light. Burn an orange candle to bring about a change in luck. All right, we are going to talk about more as soon as we come back right after these messages. Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com. All right, I hope you guys like that commercial because I put that together. I love that music. It's kind of crazy. But tonight, we're talking about Friday the 13th. By the way, all of the graphics and music that I'm showing you is in the public domain. So there are no copyright infringements here. I had a couple comments here that came through. All right. James says, in Ireland, on January the 1st, the woman of the house would sweep out the ashes from the fireplace to have good luck in the new year. Interesting. I didn't know that one. James, I'm going to have to put that on the list. Thank you for sharing that. And Frank says, what are quartz crystals good to use for? Oh, my gosh. Well, Frank, surely you know that quartz crystals amplify energy, and that's why they're used in radios and computers and electronics. But metaphysically, quartz crystals bring positive energy. And then, I mean, gosh, you could use them for so many things. You can put them around your house to create a positive energy environment, and that kind of wards off negativity, brings positive energy into the house. And you can charge crystals by holding them and charging them with an intent for that crystal to do a certain thing for you, like maybe remote viewing or doing psychic readings for people or giving you information. There's some crystals that are called communication crystals that have one flat edge that you put your thumb on. Oh gosh, there's a lot. And there's a lot of information on the internet about that. So also, I don't know if you heard my show with Judy Whitewolf. We were talking about stones with her a little bit, and I'm going to be doing a second segment with her. We're going to talk more about stones and crystals, so be sure to listen to that coming up. Well, let's see here. Fuzzy says, I was shopping in Manitou Springs, Colorado. I went into an art shop, asked the clerk a question. She said, well, when you were in here a while ago, and he said, I have never been in here. The two clerks didn't believe him. Okay. Doppelganger, anyone? That is funny. That is funny. And the clerk says, well, when you were in here a while ago and the previous conversation was repeated, he never saw her. Wow. That's weird. Okay. I'm reading the. I have one that I get positive energy from when I'm feeling down. Okay, so that's a crystal that Frank is talking about. Yes, they do create positive energy. And in fact, oddly enough, coincidentally enough, I just finished cleaning a batch of quartz crystals that I dug up at the Ron Coleman mine a few years ago and never cleaned. And I just decided to do them, pulled them out today, and wow, they are beautiful. You get this if you dig your own crystals, and I like to do this. I really like to go down to the mines and dig for myself. And I like the Ron Coleman mine because they go down in the mines and they use their big equipment and they bring piles of it up and dump it out on the ground for you. So you're not going down into a mine digging. It's right there on the ground. It's easy to do. You just bring a bucket, bring your own tools, and wear old clothes that you don't mind gets ruined because that clay will stain. It will leave a red stain in your clothing. And I put on gloves, and I always bring my husband with me because then he can do the hard stuff. And you just start digging, and oh my gosh, you can just put your hand in and pull out clusters, and then you wash them off. But they always have iron in them that doesn't all come out, so you just clean them real good when you get back as good as you can, and then you just purchase this acid from the mine or online and put that in a crock pot outside the house. You can't do this inside. You put it in outside and you lower the crystals in a little basket inside the crock pot, turn it on heat for 10 hours. And I did that for 3 days. I would go, every time it was off, I would go turn it back on and leave that on for 3 days. And today was the day I pulled them out. Wow. I'll have to post some pictures online so you guys can see them. Love crystals. Okay. Frank says 2 weeks ago, Friday, me and some Indian friends of mine got together for a traditional rain dance because so many people are suffering from the drought in California. Okay, good. Did that work? I think I heard that they got some rain. So, hey, I believe that works. I really do. Okay. Fuzzy says, I'm Pat in Fenton. How about throwing your hat on a bed? What is that good luck to do that? Or is that bad luck? Let me know, Pat, what that means, because I sure don't know about that one. That is weird. That's a weird one. Now, earlier, let me get back to James, because James asked about DNA memory. And I do have a book coming up about that. I'm just getting the concept together right now, thinking about how to put that together. And I'm going to tell you how I found out about this, because this goes back to my ancestor, Henry Sinclair. I was watching Oak Island, and this is about 4 years ago this happened. And they're talking about the possibility that they think the Knights Templar brought treasure over and that they're the ones who buried the treasure. Okay. And what it could be. So I thought, I just suddenly had the idea. Now, I'm a remote viewer. You guys all know that I do that. But what I just had the thought, why don't I remote view my own DNA? Because I know that I'm related to Henry Sinclair. And I wonder if I could go back to when Rosslyn Chapel was being built, because I suspected that they built that for more than one reason. A lot of people think that the body of Mary Magdalene was buried at that chapel along with a huge treasure. And nobody's ever found it or ever found any secret chamber. Well, I just had this thought in my mind. I want to remote view my own DNA. And so I'm visualizing going into the cells, and then finding the DNA in the cells, and then finding the Sinclairs. And I wanted to see the past, what happened. And all of a sudden, I'm like floating in the air from my position, and I'm watching the foundations of Rosalind Chapel being built. There was a big table, and there were papers out that were plans, and there was this project engineer who was looking at the plans. There were people working on the chapel, and I could see in the distant perimeter a lot of people who were Knights Templar or Freemasons in this, made this circle, and the circle was to keep people out so that they couldn't see the foundations of this building being built. They didn't want anybody to see it. Okay, so then I see a big horse with a man on it who is dressed in all kinds of nice finery approach and get off of his horse and speak to the man who has all of the plans written out, the drawings. And he is just making sure this man, turned out to be Henry Sinclair's son, was overseeing this project. And he's looking to make sure that everything is correct. And I look, so now we're just talking about foundations, very, very, very low to the ground, and then underground. So they have built the underground stuff, and they built the dirt up around it. And so I can clearly see that here's the foundation for the structure, and then off to the right is a foundation with two walls going way off to the right, about 30 feet. And then there is a big open chamber, another room off to the side. And I'll tell you where it's located. If you're looking at the chapel face on from the front, it's about in the directly center of the wall on the right side, outside the wall, going to the right. And you would get to it by breaking into the wall inside the basement of the chapel. That's how you would get to it. Well, I don't know who's going to be mad at me about saying this, but that's what I saw. And I'm probably never going to be able to prove that is correct. But, you guys know I'm really good at this. I think I'm right. So the only thing is, I looked later and it's empty. It's empty. Things were taken out of there. And I saw 3 huge ships off the coast of Scotland. And I saw these men with carts and horses pulling the carts. And they were unloading everything out of that vault, that secret room. They were unloading everything and taking it down to the ships. And they filled those 3 ships up. And then the ships took off. They were gone. So anyway, yeah, I think DNA memory works. And I want to do a lot more with it. And James, you're somebody that should be involved in that, because you're a really good remote viewer as well. And I think that'll work. So we'll get a team of people together who do remote viewing, do the DNA memory, and try to see if when you think about it, that's a form of time travel, right? You could time travel using the DNA in your own body to watch events and find out what really happened. So take a look back at your ancestral lineage. And if you think there's something where somebody would have been around, where there was something significant that happened, take a look and see. And let me know. Okay. This person, now we're getting off the topic of Friday the 13th, but what is the Life on the Fringe says, what is the difference between remote viewing and astral projecting? Well, in astral travel, you have to be asleep. Your body has to be asleep in order for you to do it. and then you leave the body and you're out in your astral body. Now that's the real definition of it. Okay. Now that astral body is the one that's closest to the physical body, and it is they're all physical bodies, but a very, very light physical body. You can still feel things, you can touch things, you can feel grass under your feet, you can touch leaves, you can hear people and see people. And while you're also in that astral state, when your astral body is out of your physical body doing this travel while your physical body is asleep, other beings in higher dimensions can see that. And you can also travel to the past and supposedly to the future as well. Although I've done a little bit of future work, but not much. And I just think that that's because of my own blocks about time. Time is not supposed to exist, but we all work around time. So, for instance, I know we're in 41 minutes and 41 seconds right now into the show. So we have to work with time. Or anyway, we do. But when you are astral projecting, other entities can see you, including extraterrestrials, as I found out one day when I was remote viewing a case for a lady who thought that she had been taken by ETs and wanted to know more information about it. And so I said, okay. She asked me to remote view it, and I did. And I am suddenly on a craft, and I'm watching two ETs on the opposite side of a table, and then a little bit taller ET on the side of the table next to me. And this guy suddenly turns around and looks me straight in the eye. And then he was like kind of assessing to see what I was doing there. And then he turned back around to what he was doing and ignored me. Well, I got the heck out of there. And, that's when I realized this is real. I'm really, really there in a physical form that this extraterrestrial can see in the past, in an event that happened in the past. So you can time travel in your astral body as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Pat says it's a commonly held superstition that a hat set on the bed invites bad luck to enter your home. There's a lot more information about this online. Okay. Well, I guess we need to get online, and I guess I'll have to put that in there because I certainly didn't know that. I can't think. I don't wear hats, but my husband does. And he always puts them on the chairs in our kitchen at our counter. So, yeah, don't have to worry about that. So, okay. Yes, Frank. Astral projection is being there in your astral body. Remote viewing is accessing information using the power of the mind. Yes, but with remote viewing, how I perceive it is sending my consciousness out, which is the same thing you're saying, sending my consciousness out to a place, a time and place to view what's going on and listen as well. So you can hear and you can see. And it's not like a movie. It's actually being there watching it. So speaking of remote viewing, I am doing several remote viewing courses this year online. If you're interested, go to unxnetwork.com and click on the workshop page, and you'll see I'm doing a remote viewing class starting this month. We're doing a 4-week class, 4 Saturdays in a row. And then I'm also doing a master dowsing workshop in March. And we'll have more workshops coming up too that other people will be doing. So watch for that. Okay, yeah. Life on the Fringe. Nope. There was too much info for me to put here, but Cowboys really don't do this. Okay, yeah. And then Frank says, oh, Frank is funny. Mega Millions numbers, please. Yes. Frank, if I could do that, do you not think that I would have already done it? Now, the most I've been able to get is 4 numbers. Okay. I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. Doesn't happen. It's probably a block in my mind. I don't know. Frank says Earth time is so limiting. Yes, it is. Hey, does anybody else wish there were more hours in the day and we could get through them without being tired? Yeah, that would be nice. We could go on Men in Black time, 36 hours days. That'd be nice. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the Mega Millions. Believe me, Lotto, Powerball, 3 numbers. I have won 3 numbers. I'll tell you what I have been able to do, and I can't explain this, but for some reason, I can't get the lottery, but I can do horse races and dog races, and I know when a slot machine is about ready to hit. I can feel heat off of it, that it's ready to go. So I'll tell you a couple of stories. My husband and I were on a cruise a few years ago, and we had just gotten on the boat and gone through all of the life-saving measures and all that stuff. We were settling down in the room. He was tired, and he wanted to lay down and rest, and I looked at the schedule for the day, and it said, slot tournament. And I instantly knew that if I went to that slot tournament and I sat at the slot machine that said the number 4 on it, that I was going to win. Now, the number 4 and the number 1 follow me around a lot, but I said, I'm going to go do the slot tournament. So I ran down there. There was 1 machine left, and that machine was number 4. And I knew I was going to win. So I got in, won $500. Later on that day, or the next day, sometime during the cruise, they had a bingo game, and it's on the schedule. I looked on the schedule. The bingo game was the winner was going to get a 5-carat, not quartz. I'll think of it. Anyway, it was a precious gem, yellow, and it's often around amethyst. So if anybody can tell me what it is, it's not coming to me. Anyway, and cut, in a necklace. So it's going to be a nice thing. I knew I was going to win. I said, Jane, I'm going to win this bingo game. We need to go to this game. He's like, okay. Well, he's learned. He's learned if I say do something, we're going to do it because I'm probably right. So we went into the game. They go through several sessions, and then the big grand prize comes up, and I won. Out of, I don't know, there were maybe 300 people in there in that room. I knew I was going to win. Okay. Third story. This is the last one. I was at a horse race back when they used to have horse races in Kansas City. And they don't anymore. So this was on the Kansas side. Right before one of the races came up. Now, I don't know anything about horses. I just go by a feeling about which one's going to win. And when they come out on the field, I look at them and I think, it looks, if they look really good. And my grandmother used to be big into horse races. She used to go down to Florida every year, and she would always attend the races. And she won a lot. And I asked her how she did it. She says, you look at the one who's the most ready to go, that looks the most excited, that looks the most healthy out of all the horses that come out. That's the one you bet on. So that's what I was doing. But this one race came up. Before I even looked at any of the horses, the number 4 horse I knew was going to win. Absolutely 100% I knew. Now, this was just before the race, just a few minutes before. And I found that I have to do that sort of thing right before it happens. That's when I know. I will not know it an hour in advance. It has to be a few minutes in advance. Okay. So go up to the window. I place my bet. Oh, I wish I'd bet a lot more. And I won. Okay. He came in first place. I only bet that horse was going to win and nothing else. And I think I placed a $4 bet. And I think I won like $70 off of that. So after that time, I had learned how to do it, and I knew that I could do it in the future. And in subsequent times, and it doesn't happen every race, okay? But when it does happen, you have this feeling, and it's like being supercharged. It's like electricity going through your body. And that's the feeling, like static electricity or something. Anyway, for me, that what you're looking at, whatever number you're looking at, usually for me, it's the number 4. So when 4 is going to win, I know. So the next time that happened, I bet more money and I won more money. So, yeah, that's how that works. Okay. Frank says, a spirit guide told me once the reason why we can't see the lotto numbers is due to the probability change and the cutoff time is too far from the draw. Interesting. That could very well be. Thanks for the info on that. Yes. It's citrine, James. That is right. That beautiful yellow stone is citrine. Yeah. And it might have been yellow topaz, but no, this was citrine. It's nice. I need to wear that more often. Okay. Pat says, my grandma sent me to this little store to pick up a racing betting form for her. Was that right now? Oh, that's coincidental. Okay. Well, Facebook user who's going incognito says, hey, Margie, when you come to Oklahoma to film for your documentary, I'm taking you to the casino for sure. I think I know who this is, but I'm not going to say because he wants to be incognito. Oh, my goodness. I've got another story to tell you about the evil eye. When my oldest daughter was born, I took her to my grandmother's house for my grandmother to see her. And my grandmother says, oh my gosh, she's warding off the evil eye. And I said, what do you mean? What does that mean? Well, my daughter was holding her thumb between her first and second finger, like this. Well, a lot of babies do that. But anyway, she was holding that. She says, that wards off the evil eye. That means she's always going to have good luck. And I said, what is the evil eye? Because at the time I didn't know that. Well, this is an Italian tradition. Let me remind you, this is what her Italian ancestors believed. You could put the evil eye on somebody by pulling your eye down or giving them an evil stare. And that would give them bad luck or put a curse on them. And so to ward off the evil eye, you either had to yourself or have the baby. Evidently, babies get cursed a lot. Who knows? Hold their hand like that. Or you put a bowl of salt underneath the crib. This is my very straightforward grandmother. She was so intelligent that she would do the New York Times crossword in pen. Okay? Not many people can do that. And she's superstitious about sneezing, saying bless you, because the soul leaves the body, cutting spaghetti noodles, and the evil eye. As far as I can remember, that was it. But anyway. This is crazy stuff. Okay, anybody else have anything I haven't covered? Anything about bad luck, the number 13? Is there a number that's not good luck for you, or a number that's good luck for you? I mean, my good luck number is 11, and also the second one is 14. That 1 and 4, again, it follows me around all the time. Well, let me know. But we are out of time, unfortunately, for today. So if you have anything else you want to share with me, send me an email, margiek06@yahoo.com, and I will respond. And I will put your bad luck information into my article, and that will be printed in the next issue of Unix Magazine. So get the current issue, just came out today, unxnetwork.com, and you get the information there. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm Margie K with Unix News. I'll see you here again next week.
You've been listening to the Unix News Podcast with Margie K. Any rebroadcast or duplication of this program or its content without express written permission from Unix Media or Margie K herself is strictly prohibited. The Unix News Podcast, in direct cooperation with the internet website unxmedia.com.